Welcome to Studio Notes. This is Cherish, and I'm happy to have you back in my studio. I am going to go through I always call it a fun process, but it's like fun for me. This is the process of creating a new painting. And for me, that is actually kind of messy. It's funny that I paint these very realistic, very not hyper realistic, but just real. I paint with using realism, and the process of getting there is pretty messy. And I love it, and I wanted to share it with you guys this week because this is definitely the start of something new. So getting started, there are 3 different things that I do. The first thing that I do is I do a bunch of sketches. And in this case, I am doing the sketches pretty much at the size that I'm going to paint. I think a lot of people will opt to trace their image. You know, they'll do some sort of printing out, and then they'll opt to trace their image. And while it's definitely something that I consider as part of the process, for example, my sketch is going to end up being something that I will trace. I am a drawer, and I love to start from my own hand and kind of figuring things out. And I think that I think I actually did some of these sketches on last week's video, but one of the things that I was looking for is the mass and the body and how that body gets interpreted as you're painting. And for me, that starts with sketching. That starts with actually getting pen or pencil or paint to paper and then making a big mess on the paper to kind of find where everything is. I love that part. I love that aspect of it. Part 2 is the iteration part, or rather the second step is the iteration part. I truly and honestly believe in the drawing part. So I've already stated that. The other thing that I'll state is that I will keep drawing this drawing until I get it right, until I figure out what it is I'm trying to learn from this or where it is I'm trying to start the painting. It's super important to me to get this part right because, and when I say get it right, I mean that, for example, I have a painting that I did where I knew I wanted the back of the neck to be in the center of the the board. So that's where I started the drawing. And the head kind of fell off the top of it. And I think that it was important to me to have the body be body sized, like the size of that person or bigger. And then it was important for me to show that the physicality of a human being does not necessarily have to adhere to the size of the substrate. And I think that is kind of fun. That's kind of fun. And in this case, I'm actually going a bit bigger. I think this is 24 by 24 inches. So that is a bit bigger for me right now because I've been working fairly small and moving my way back up. So it's important for me that the size of the body here is bigger because it's like a self-portrait. So I am a bigger person and I need for the painting to actually reflect the real size of the people. And I think that you get those volumes by drawing it out. And sometimes when I am drawing it out, I might choose to purposefully make something bigger. Like I think I was looking at the breast area and I was like, oh, this actually needs to be much wider. So that you understand what you're looking at and that you actually begin to empathize with the size that is in front of you. And that's super important to me. I will draw the drawing 15, 20 times, before I actually get something right. And it's funny because in this case, I only drew this drawing, the pre-work for this, I drew it one time. So sometimes it's like that where the pre-work, the first drawing that I do is great and I don't have anything else to do as far as pre-work, and it's just about getting proportions right and just about doing the storytelling. And then other times I have to, like the other one that I'm working on, I still haven't quite worked out what the composition is, but it'll get there. I know the image is right. I just don't think the composition is right just yet. The last focus of the preparatory stage is really to work through the rest of the composition. I will admit that there are some that in the past that was not always my first priority. So I would just get like the figure and the figure would be right. And I wouldn't necessarily work through the background. So I have a painting that's not done yet, which is the same painting I just showed you earlier before. It's not done because I haven't figured out the background. And it will get done, but I still have to figure out the background. So that's part of I'm making that part of the process of like getting a new painting started. And that's where, at least for me, that's where the color studies are going to come in. And that is where I am going to be doing some smaller sketches of this painting, that because now I have this kind of first part down, I need the other parts to kind of come in on top of that. I think one more thing is that I am not necessarily, nothing is in concrete. Nothing is poured in concrete. Nothing's set in stone at this time. That really the only thing that's kind of set in stone is the figure. And I'll have to say this, I have been looking at like different hand positions, slightly different facial expressions, because I could change those things at this point. And I don't want to marry myself to one particular thing if another hand position, for example, is going to tell the story better. Or if a facial expression, like if the one I've chosen is too extreme, but I love the body, I don't want to lock in that right now, because then what if I choose to change the face? I can change the face, no problem. But if I'm already oil paint to canvas, I am kind of stuck with it. So while it's still on paper, while I can still go in and just change the face, I am going to explore those possibilities. So here's what I'm doing. I've got one composition that's kind of already there, and then another one that I'm working on. This one, I don't know why it seems harder, but I'm going to do the same thing I did here, which is to make a paper, basically a piece of paper, the same size as the board that it's going to go on. So I'm going to make a piece of paper the same size as the board that it's going to go on, and then I'm going to start drawing, because I feel like it's a format problem where this and this are two different shapes, and so I'm not the composition isn't coming to me as well as it did in this one. Just so you know, I ended up going a completely different direction, so now it's small paintings of that figure, but also I think I might be painting the figure upside down. So stay tuned and we'll figure out where that one's going. But in the meantime, I'm also still working on this painting, and I think it's important to acknowledge the fact that in a work week, in a painting week, I am working on multiple projects all at the same time, and I kind of love it. It's taken so long for me to get to the point where this is actually possible for me as a human, and with the time that I have to do the things that I'm doing. I don't think I've talked about this painting at all on this channel, but here's what's going on. This is a portrait of my sister from behind, and it's funny because I say that it's a portrait of my sister, but in the end, it's actually not my sister. So I always think of, it's funny, my portraits, when I'm painting a person, I always think of them as a stand-in for a character. So she is my sister in real life, but on this canvas, she is another person. And normally what I like to do is I like to write kind of a brief so that whomever is posing for me kind of knows what it is that they're doing, or what, why are you here? That kind of thing. But I'll write a brief and I'll be like, this is your thing, this is your vibe. And one of the things that I do as I'm as I'm developing the painting is I still like the process of like not everything is locked down, which I've already told you, but the process of developing it is an ongoing process. So as a part of my sketchbook, for example, I've already talked to you, there's another video that I did about the color study for this painting, but also as I'm going through every single time that I do a day or of painting, I take a photo of the image, I print that image out, and then I put it into my studio journal. It's literally called Studio Notes. And I basically kind of work through whatever problem it is I think I'm having with the painting. Also, I like to make little like paper stickers. So that little orange bit right there on her ear, the little earring, that's just a sticker. I just put a little piece of paper on a little piece of tape on the back of a piece of paper. And that is just a stand-in for color because I wanted to see what it would look like if her earring, instead of being white, which is the color that it is in the reference, was orange. And it's funny because it looks great as a piece of paper stuck on there, but when I started to paint it, it was actually kind of horrible. So I don't know what color it's going to end up being, but I do know that there are different choices that are kind of happening as I go on this painting, and they will continue to it will continue to evolve. And I like that now, like today, I have a process for that. But in the past, I definitely was kind of flying blind. I just would do a painting, and I didn't really understand that I, as a painter, needed a process for iteration while I was painting. I kind of had this idea that once you have the picture, your reference image, and in that reference image, if you've taken it into Photoshop or whatever, all that information is like planned. And I thought that having that plan made, copy paste, right? That's the thing you do. But for me, the way that I work is not that. I don't copy paste. I kind of imagine as I go in some cases. And there are definitely like the solid part. Let's say, for example, the figure in this case is the thing that is the actual, this is the anchor of the entire thing. So I'm definitely coming off of a reference because it's my anchor. But then the background, where I didn't understand that I wanted to do this when I started the painting. So this is the part where I let the painting teach me, right? So the background is, I kept thinking of these like pastoral scenes where you see like Madonna on the rocks or something like that. And there's always these really great figurative paintings, and the figure is in some sort of nature setting. And between that and Holbein, the blue from Holbein, I was kind of like already into this level of I want to put blue into my paintings. And then the nature part just kind of happened because she literally is in front of something green. And I thought, oh, that'd be a cool idea. But it wasn't part of the original composition. It wasn't originally something that I was like, yes, I need to put this into the painting because it works. It was something that came as part of the process of doing the work. So the inspiration, at least for me, comes as part of showing up every day to do the work. The last thing that's super important to me in the whole process of getting paintings done and being in the studio is actually being in the studio working on paintings. I have set for myself a task of painting for at least 20 hours per week. And the way that works out is painting 2 hours per day during the weekdays and then 5 hours per day during the weekends, which means, yeah, I'm painting 7 days a week, but I love painting, so that's not a hardship. I think that the goal here is to be prolific in my own way. So coming into the studio, having a set time that I need to be in here, having a set time that I am in here just painting is super helpful to know that I'm going to be in here for at least 2 hours, that I have to organize my workouts. I have to organize my daytime, work and all that fun stuff around getting the paintings done. And so I have become way more productive in the start, middle, and finish of doing the paintings. Sure to like and subscribe, and don't forget to leave a pumpkin in the comments section. Have a great week and happy first day of fall. See you next week, y'all.